All right, welcome back, guys. Ground and pound. We missed last week, but I was pretty sick, and by sick I mean I had zero voice, so I wasn't going to be able to do the show. All three of us here. Hunter, Sam, how are you boys doing?
Pretty good.
I'm sure Sam's better than me. The Bulls are losing by 20 right now.
I don't really watch the Bucks too much.
It's early. So let's just start it off right away. UFC Fight Night. Lemos versus Andrade. What fights do we want to talk about? I feel like this was one of the weaker cards of 2022. It was bound to happen, but it feels like it was last week.
Prelim wise, we'll start there. There
Yeah.
was two that stuck out to me. One was Mike Jackson. He's 0-1 going into the fight, getting obliterated. He got kicked in the lower area. He got poked in the eye and then wasn't able to continue. And instead of calling it a no contest, I forgot the ref that was in it, ended up calling it a DQ, which makes no sense because the week before there's illegal shots that they let go to the scorecard. So I don't know. I think they need to figure out the difference between an intentional and unintentional foul, because Mike Jackson should not have won that fight. And that ruins his, purse, all this other stuff. So that one stuck out to me. And then Tyson Pedro came back after 3 years and beautiful. It looked beautiful in his return. So
Yeah, so if there was gonna be a fight on the prelims that I did want to talk about, it was Tyson Pedro. Unbelievable. I believe he's friends with all the Australians, right? So
Yeah.
Tuivasas, the Robert Whitakers.
yeah.
I mean, he's just another guy in that line that impressed after 3 years of not being in the sport. It's good to see him back. It sounds like he's going to fight more often, mostly because he has a child and wants to make as much money as possible. But hey, that's a treat for us. It might not be the greatest financial money, but I'm happy to see him get a pretty dominant win. And hopefully we get to see him as soon as July, I would think.
Yeah.
He's an international fight week type card guy.
And he's a name. I mean, he was coming up in the sport as supposed to be a top 15 light heavyweight by now, but he's right there.
Sam, any fights on the prelims that you want to talk about?
Yeah, it was really just the Pedro one. He looked good, especially for his first fight back in 3 years.
So I'm not gonna lie, right around from Mike Jackson to I woke up a little bit, saw the Tyson Pedro fight. I woke up around the Macy Barber fight with Montana De La Rosa, UFC The Ultimate Fighter, former member De La Rosa, but that was not her day. Let's talk about Macy Barber, the future. What do we think that she has? Because she was dominant for 3 straight rounds.
She looked amazing.
Her grappling's real tough. I'm still not as impressed with Macy Barber as everybody else is, but I don't think she can beat those top 3 in that division, but it's a good start for her, I guess.
She's definitely improving every time she gets out there.
And that's a lot to say because she trains out of AKA, I believe, right?
I believe so, yeah.
That's a testament to them.
Yeah,
those guys there.
She's looking better and better. It seems like every time she steps out there, nowhere near being ready for top 5 person. But she's young. She's kind of in that next wave of athletes that, I mean, she could be a title contender way down the road now. Just got to keep seeing more improvement out of her, and time in, time out. I think that Macy Barber does have a future, not just the nickname.
I think she needs to climb the ladder slowly, and I feel like she can still compete with a lot of those girls in that division. So, but before that fight was even Charles Jourdain. How great did he look? First round submission of Lando Venata, crazy 1-round fight. That's a huge win for him, and that's 2 really good performances back to back. He's looking tough.
Sam?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had to work right after the Macy Barber fight. But yeah, gotta love working 3rd shift and living a half hour away from it for these fight night cards. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Macy Barber, she looked like you said, she looked good. I think she had a perfect strategy up against De La Rosa, who likes to grapple, getting close to her, and whoever held the underhook really was winning the round. I thought it was closer than the 30-27. I thought De La Rosa probably could have had at least round 2, but no, she looked good.
Did they go 30-27 on all 3 cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, talking about first round submissions, Clay Guida gets submitted in the first round. I don't want to take away from Claudio Pellis, I believe it is.
I think Pueyes.
I don't want to take away from him, but like this story really is about Clay Guida and how not good he looked.
I don't know, man. They were grappling, and that's the 3rd knee bar in a row. Like, that's just Guida getting caught. I think Guida has a lot left in the tank. Like, you saw his fight before when he won by submission after coming back. He still has it. I mean, dude, sometimes you get on the ground with those jiu-jitsu guys, you get in scrambles like that, and the knee bar was there.
Did he also get out of 3 submission attempts before that too, before the knee bar?
Yeah, yep.
So he just got caught.
I think Guida, he's too much of a name to not get him another contract. If he wants to fight, I think Dayton's going to re-sign him.
He's kind of in that same boat as like the Jim Miller effect, which we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
where he's just there. He's never going to contend again.
But like Guida was beating names back in the day.
Yeah.
Jim Miller lost to everybody that was good.
Right. So, like, he's another one that I feel like it's just on his terms when he wants to go, regardless of how old he is and how not title contending he is. I think it's just fun for him to be out there. And then let's just talk about the main event. Not that there really was much of one. Jessica Andrade, she is back. She wants to fight again soon, and I don't see why she wouldn't be able to, because that was a very quick fight for a main event on a fight night card.
She's so damn strong. Like,
that was nuts.
And she said after the fight she'd fight at 35 even. Like, she's crazy, man. You saw what she did to Rose. Like, no one's ever threw Rose on her head and just knocked her out cold before. Andrade can beat almost anybody except like the Valentinas of the world.
Yeah.
So I just stayed throw her back out there. She's fun to watch. She can bang. She could be on a pay-per-view in the summer or something if she wants.
I think there's a lot of potential there of what you could do. I think she needs to get out there sooner rather than later. We can't be waiting on her forever again. But I mean, for a women's fight, it was a good fight to show because it shows these women are here to play.
First ever arm triangle, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Standing arm triangle.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, if you didn't like women's MMA before that fight and you watch that fight and you still don't like it, I just think you don't like MMA.
You just have to wait. Miesha Tate fights.
Yeah, when Miesha Tate fights, then you might like it a little more. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have on the last week's event. It's kind of shorter, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
All right. Moving into some news before we jump into other things, previewing this fight card as well as previewing The Ultimate Fighter premiering next week. Not that there's much that we can really preview, but we'll see. So Jon Jones is back in the news, but this time for good reason. It sounds like finally we are going to get a fight between him and Stipe Miocic for the interim title, possibly at UFC 276. What do we think? How excited are we? How badly do we want this thing to go down? Sam, I'll start with you because I think yours is the most wild. Like, we don't know what you're going to say.
So I've never seen Jon Jones fight live. I've played as him in video games. I've kicked Jacob's ass with him playing as Jon Jones.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, wasn't it Stipe and Tuivasa though? So that's just done then.
Sounds like we're probably gonna get a Tuivasa Aspinall fight, but I don't know if I like that it's this early. But I have a feeling that's what the line's gonna be.
I mean, it makes sense for the UFC. That's probably the best thing that they can book right now for heavyweight is Stipe Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like who else would they really book against that and be able to get the pay-per-view buys of, let's say, middleweight or the welterweight division?
Yeah, other than maybe Adesanya, Jon Jones, because unless Conor obviously is a different level of ticket sales, but other than Adesanya, maybe pay-per-view buys is going to be Jones going to run that. So you have him against the former heavyweight, the heavyweight GOAT. Either he gets a title fight, and it's going to be interim belt, I believe they said, because Francis's injury. So you have Jon Jones, the greatest martial artist of all time, hands down, you can't dispute that, going up a weight class finally, fighting the heavyweight GOAT
in the UFC for a belt after all this shit that's happened. Like, this is this is a legacy fight right here. If Jon Jones wins this fight, this is legacy. We don't know how good he's gonna look. We don't know how he's been training. Jon Jones is back though, and that's all that matters. Like, anyone that knows the sport very well and you've been watching it, there's no more talented, better champion than Jon Bones Jones. So that's exciting. Part of me believes that the reason that this fight hasn't been officially announced, even though pretty much everyone in the world knows that this fight is offered and out there, and it sounds like neither of them are going to say no, is I think they're waiting to see what happens between the Tyson Fury and Ngannou boxing match, which would probably end up in a vacated belt, making this more than an interim belt, making it the full-on undisputed championship. I feel like that's the only thing holding us up.
I saw something that Ngannou Fury fight would be rumored for 2023 though,
because of the injury.
Okay.
Ngannou isn't supposed to even fight in the UFC till the end of 2022, possibly 2023. So if they already know that, and they can't book him then in between just because of injury, and the UFC knows how much money they'll make, it'll be like when Conor got his belt stripped to fight Mayweather.
That's very true if they announce that.
So I feel like there is just the waiting game of the business part of it. Are we like marketing this as the interim belt, or are we marketing this as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world? Which, if you have Stipe Miocic back in a title fight for the undisputed championship against Jon Jones, who has the most title defenses in history, I feel like that just makes for a tremendous story.
Well, I think this is going to be in September, I believe, right? They were saying Stipe is going to be fully ready in September, John said.
Yeah, but they were trying to push it for International Fight Week.
They were, but Stipe said he wants to be ready in September, and John's willing to wait. I feel like if Jon waits out and if he can beat Stipe, I don't care if he's interim or if he's undisputed. If Jon Jones beats Stipe and he's the interim champ, Francis Ngannou knows he's still in a contender spot because Jones has that belt. It's Jones.
Yeah.
Until Jon, whoever faces him is going to be the challenger, in my opinion. So fuck a interim undisputed. Sorry, excuse my language, but Jon Jones fighting again against Stipe Miocic is one of the biggest fights of all time in the heavyweight division.
I know. The UFC heavyweight division needed something to go down about a year ago. Now we have a title, like we have a ton of contenders. We have possibly the biggest name to ever step foot in the octagon outside of Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey fighting for that championship.
You have stars. You have Stipe, Jon, Francis. You have Derek Lewis. You have Tai Tuivasa. Like
Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades.
Those five, the five I named are like what casuals know. They don't even watch the sport because they watch Nelk, right? And Nelk talks about Tuivasa. Derek Lewis, everyone knows him from his interviews. Like, it's just a lot of stars now in the heavyweight division. And that's what we needed.
Yeah. And it's finally here. But yeah, no, I love what the heavyweight division has become. If you asked me that a year ago, I would not have said that. A lot's changed and it's awesome. Moving into the next thing, something we've talked about a lot on this show. It almost looks more and more like by the day, the 165 division is coming to the UFC. Now that Dustin Poirier is now saying, we need a 162 or 165 division. I'll fight anyone. Name a day and time. This sounds a lot like someone else that says the exact same type of thing. except is a little bit more non-PC about it. Are we going does Dana have a choice, or are we just getting the 165 and putting Poirier versus Covington?
That's what it looks like right now, for sure. And I don't think Covington's gonna fight Hazmat. So
yeah, it just seems more and more like Nate Diaz is calling out everyone, but then as soon as anyone calls him out back, like
yeah,
no one
what?
wants it or he doesn't
Yeah.
want it. Because I think Bilal Muhammad is now the most recent one to say it. Which,
No, Stephen Thompson called him out today too. Thompson called out Nick and Nate Diaz, and they're both silent. But then Nate goes, "Why won't you let me fight? People want to fight you, dude."
like, there's a ton of people in line. Because
Yeah.
I mean, let's not be stupid. Fighting Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz is a huge money-making fight.
And it gets you popular. You're gonna get famous.
You're fighting a non-ranked fighter, and you're gonna, when you get the win, as long as you do get the win, your name is instantly boosted up back into the rankings, a little bit higher than what it was before for fighting a guy that's not ranked.
If you combine Nick and Nate's last 10 fights together, it's probably like 2-8.
Right.
So it's a win-win for
What's
you.
one of those wins against?
Connor, but 2-8. He
Maybe
went
Connor. He may have fought 10 times since then.
Yeah.
Probably not though. But no, regardless, the 165, I think it's gotta come. And it sounds more and more like Usman's ready to take on Khamzat.
Yeah.
Which, who would have thought? Like, who would have thought?
The fact we're talking about Hazmat as like Usman's ready to fight him, like that's how good he is, and he's only 12 fights in. He's that good that people are like,
right?
Usman's willing to fight him. What do you mean? He's a rookie still in the sport. He
Yeah,
jumped
I know,
up.
and I think that's kind of why Usman's like, let me take advantage of this now.
Yeah, before he gets really good.
And I mean, if you're gonna have a one loss on your record and it's against Usman as when he was title, like in this crazy title run, it doesn't look that bad for Khamzat either.
Well,
It'd
and
be the second fight that Khamzat goes to decision for.
No, I don't even know. Well, it probably would go to decision. I just think it'd be one-sided.
But talking about the 165, if you make that, you have Gilbert Burns calling out Dustin too, so you have options. You know,
Yeah, I mean, Nate
there's
Diaz,
a lot of survivors.
Nate
like
Diaz, Masvidal, Connor,
all the guys that can't top 3.
probably RDA.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm telling you, I think we're onto something when I said the 1 versus 1 contender is because it's going to be which number 1 contender is now the champion.
It could be, man. Even Islam and stuff will go up to 65 probably.
I don't think he will. I actually don't think that will.
You think he'd stay down to 55?
I think he dominates. He bullies people. I really think, and this is maybe me just being too big of a fan, I think people are afraid of Colby's wrestling skills.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. But
like Islam knows that the one guy that would probably give him trouble wrestling is probably Colby.
And Gilbert would give him some. But yeah, that's true. Colby would give him troubles.
RDA is not a joke either, which is kind of why that fight may never happen.
There's so many good fights to make in that 55 and 70 division that if they made 65, they add another champ, you get another belt in the sport. It would just make so many more crazy good fights.
And everyone says like 55 and 70. Well, now 75 would probably like hurt a little bit. I don't think it would. We watch some of these unranked guys, and like the fights are just as good. Like, I mean, not too long ago, Charles Oliveira was outside the top 10 looking in. And now he's going for his second title defense. So, I mean, another guy that could be 165, Michael Chandler.
Isn't he short for that weight?
Yeah, I mean, he might be better off at 155. He'll be a top 4 guy. But we'll see.
Gaethje would be good. He cuts a lot of weight. He could go up and get 2 belts if he
I don't
wins
think he switches either.
If he wins at 55, he would definitely eventually, if they make a 65 division, he's a guy that would want 2 belts.
I think he'd especially want to fight Colby at 165.
Oh, Gaethje would love that. Yeah.
Truthfully, I think if he wins the belt at 155, we're looking at a 55 championship with with Connor and Gaethje.
I'd like that, but
I'd sign me up for that right away.
Oh, insert that in my veins, dude.
Like, that'd be awesome. Like, regardless of who wins, honestly, I think that'd just be the most fun fight to watch.
It would be fun, and people are sleeping on the fact that Gaethje's got 2 knockout losses against Dustin and Eddie Alvarez, who Conor knocked both out. Just saying.
Yeah, so
But
I mean, it's possible. It's very
I want
possible.
the Oliveira, because that would set up a better matchup for Conor, be a striking battle. And that's what we all want to see that. So
I think we got 2 more things of news. Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Zhang Weili was officially announced for June. How surprised are we that they're giving them a 3-round fight and not a 5-rounder like the first one was?
How long has Joanna been out?
A while, but
3 years probably.
that fight might be one of the top 5 fights of all time.
No, all time, men's or women's all time.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I mean, like, I saw Joanna say,
5.
like, throw us in for 25. I would be ready.
She would.
Like,
Joanna cardio's nuts, and that's why I love her. I thought she won the first fight with those 2. Honestly,
I think if she didn't look as bad as she looked at the end of that fight, I almost think the scorecards look different.
she has that Diaz scar tissue issues. She's gonna look like that again. Like she's gonna be beat up. Every fight now she gets swollen. So I guess 3 rounds okay, but like Joanna thrives. She needs those 5-rounders because that's what she always steals, that 4th and 5th round, because her pace. And I don't know if at a 3-round fight she's gonna win 2 rounds.
I'm gonna say this: she's the female Colby Covington. The longer this fight goes, and the more cardio that everyone's using, she's using an advantage.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is probably why they hate each other. But Colby once said that she was sliding into the DMs, and let me tell you, that would have been one beautiful looking baby.
Oh, that baby would be a badass because you got the striking of Joanna and the grappling of Kobe. But
and imagine the cardio in the bedroom.
Oh my God. Yeah, geez, I don't even want to imagine it. I will say this. I think Joanna's more like a Max Holloway because it's all striking, but she can go for an hour, you know.
Perfect. I can go for like 5 seconds.
Sounded like it when I lived above you.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Well, Sam, do you have any thoughts on the 5-round versus 3-round?
I mean, if it's a fight night, you definitely get more viewers. I feel like if you put that main event 5 rounds.
It is going to be on, I believe, UFC Singapore.
So UFC Singapore.
On the main card.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it should have been a 5-round fight. If we're given Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards when it wasn't a title fight 5 rounds, I don't see why we're not doing it with this. Same thing with like Moncano versus RDA. We gave that 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Moncano also stepped in for
Fazeev.
Yeah. So.
But still.
Yeah, but Anna and like Welly are both champs. So You got to get. That's a 5-round fucking fight, dude. Any of those girls are pros still.
Who knows? You know? There's a chance they could still switch it. Chances are just very slim.
Not if Joanna every single day and makes it public. She'd get it.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely will. Last piece of news. There's 2 guys fighting for this fight. Now, obviously, they won't fight each other for the fight until one of them wins. Who's next for Aljo? Both Henry Cejudo and TJ Dillashaw really want this fight.
So for me, if I'm Dana White, if I'm you, I throw Henry Cejudo in there before TJ. Henry's the buildup would be bigger. I feel like you'd get more sales. I feel like that's a more interesting fight. I feel like there's no awful stigma behind Henry like there's TJ with the EPO. I feel like everyone wants to see Henry Cejudo fucking fight again. And that's the fight to make right now. If you have the option, and Henry can make 35 by the end of summer, say, you do an Aljo and Henry Cejudo fight. And if not, fuck yeah, TJ's a great option too. But if there's an option between the two and Dana can pick, and if he doesn't pick Henry over TJ, he's an idiot. You pick the guy that knocked out the other guy. You pick the better fighter. You pick the triple C. That's what you do. And you see if he can do it again and can upset Aljo after another 3 years off. I don't even think it'd be an upset. He'd probably be a favorite going to that, but
I think so too. Sam, what do you think?
I mean, 3 years off or however long he's been off, I think you give him a little bit of a warm-up fight. No?
No.
Not Henry Cejudo.
And I mean, also,
this guy's nuts.
I mean, what wasn't TJ's fight court? TJ's last fight was Corey Sandhagen, right?
Yeah,
And
it
he
was
won
brutal.
that.
He won, but that was questionable too.
Questionable
Yeah.
win. And Aljo submitted Sandhagen within the first round. So I think you give it to Henry.
Yeah, I'd say go Henry.
I
And
think
I think Aljo wants to or TJ just because I think he thinks it's a little bit easier of a matchup. But
I would too. Are you kidding?
Look, Henry never lost the belt. He vacated it.
All right.
So
It's his
I get
belt
it.
to earn back in my world.
Right. If he goes to 45, I feel like he has to maybe fight somebody before Volk type of thing. But 35 is his weight. He gave it to Jan, you know, and then Aljo took it. So
Yeah,
yes,
and like when
did Aljo
Cejudo
take
wins-
it?
he did.
He did.
Too.
When Cejudo wins, the next question would be, what's the bigger fight? Is it the rematch with TJ Dillashaw, or is it moving up with Alexander Volkanovski, which then if he moves up a weight class, we're back in a crappy situation.
It's Volk.
You think
That's-
so? You think the build-up's bigger on that one?
Hands down, Volk's a bigger fight than TJ Dillashaw right now. He already knocked TJ out. TJ's not the same guy he was at one point.
Yeah, I don't know. I
That's
feel like
unless
the bad
Volk
blood.
moves up.
I just feel like the bad blood sells.
The
Yeah,
bad blood TJ?
Yeah. You can
I
have
feel-
bad blood with Volkanovski, but it's not that bad. Like, you know what I mean?
But he talks more shit about Volk. He says Alexander the average. Like with TJ, it's just he already knocked him out, and he just makes fun of his steroid abuse. I
The
think
other part of it is Volkanovski just doesn't care. He just goes out there and fights. So like, which one is gonna build up better in a press conference? That's probably Dillashaw.
yeah.
Volkanovski's just gonna be like, buy my pay-per-view, tune in on Saturday, I'll see you there. It's like, okay, dude, like you're not a used car salesman.
But I feel like Henry's the guy that is the one guy that could maybe get under his skin.
I don't know. If he spent an entire summer coaching the Ultimate Fighter against Brian Ortega, because even that was underwhelming. They still didn't have that bad of blood. I don't know. Would you rather jump into this weekend or next week's beautiful show coming up on ESPN Plus? Which one do you want to do first?
Up to you guys. What do you Sam's the mind behind this all, you know?
I say let's jump into the UFC Fight Night just because the Ultimate Fighter, as much as it is part of the UFC, it's kind of outside of it. Let's jump into the Fight Night card. What fights are you guys looking at? What piques your interest? What should we be watching for? I got a couple fights on here.
Are we talking about prelims first?
I don't even think they've actually separated it yet still.
Yeah, they have.
UFC website.
Yeah.
Oh, they have it on ESPN separated.
I'll go over to the ESPN then, just so we have a consistent.
Yeah, what was it? I feel like his name's is it Johan Lionese? So I was researching some of these guys, and he's undefeated. I think 7 of his 9 wins, he's 9-0. 7 of his 9 wins are all knockouts. He looks good, man. And I'm excited to see him fight. I believe he's fighting. I forget the card, but I'm excited to see him. He's from Canada too. So you have, you had the Rory McDonald there. You had the GSP, and I feel like this guy's one of those guys that can put Canada on his back. That's a fun fight. And then also the last week's should have been fight, the heavyweight. Chase Sherman and what's his face?
Romanov.
Yeah, they're supposed to fight finally tonight. I don't know what happened last week, but they're gonna fight next weekend.
I think there was something with the physical that they had to delay it 1 week.
Okay.
That
Chase
line is
Sherman, by the way, is
insane.
plus 1,000.
And Romanov is minus 2,000.
Chase Sherman, good luck. The one that I was a little surprised you didn't mention was Natan Levy versus Mike Breeden. Hunter.
The what? The name? Levy versus who?
Mike Breeden.
Levy's coming off that loss. I know he was undefeated going into his UFC debut. He had that loss in a decision, I believe. I'm excited to see him, man. He's got a good karate little style. He's tough.
Another fight that's worth mentioning, they brought her back onto the roster for this one. Gina Mazzani versus Shayna Young. Now, I believe this is the same Shayna that used to fight with and like hang out with Ronda Rousey way back when.
Wow, with the old coach over there that Ronda had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's always a fun fight. I don't really know who's going to win that fight. Gina is minus 180, but again, she had to get added to the roster for this. So take that with a grain of salt.
I feel like betting purposes wise, we're not going to have a ton of confidence picks in the prelims. Might be able to throw one or two out there. Like probably like a Ramonov knockout, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know if for whatever reason, my ESPN's not showing me the difference between prelims and main card. Did Jotko versus Meerschaert get on the main card?
That's main card.
Yeah, first fight on the main card.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Gerald Meerschaert, have we seen him since he got knocked out by Khamzat?
I believe.
Yeah, he I think he fought like a couple right at the end of 2021. I think he got a submission win.
Yeah, he won.
I was gonna say if he didn't fight, which I couldn't remember if he did or not. That would be interesting to watch because I feel like Khamzat kind of messed him up in the brain. Oh, there's been 3 fights, 3 submission wins. We're good. He's been fine since then. He said that after that fight, like it showed him a lot. So yeah, I don't know. So I mean, like that's always worth watching. I like Jotko, but I do actually really like Meerschaert.
Dude, Jotko is like top 5 almost, and then started to fall off. So I believe he lost to Strickland in one of his recent fights, right, Jotko? I'm looking it up right now. Sean Strickland, yeah. And then he came back and beat Serkinov. He beat Serkinov, who's a Miesha Serkinov's tough. So Jotko, and he's right there to be top 5 again. And that division, man, too. Like any of those guys can get up there. So interesting thing about it, his last 5 fights have all gone to decision. Meerschaert's last 5 fights, none of them have hit decision. So I'm going decision here for sure. Yeah, and I'm saying over 1.5. Oh, that's a lock. Lock it in. I think that's the lock that you're looking for. Put your life savings on it, guys. And if you're gambling, I don't know why you wouldn't gamble on BetMGM. Bet responsibly. Get your Vegas getaway away from home. MGM Resorts. Get your place wherever you're going across the U.S. Plenty of places on the Vegas Strip. That's where we stay. That's where we will be staying whenever we get back out there. But BetMGM, gamble responsibly. They are the king of sports books. I had to throw that in there. Any other fights on the main card before we get to the main event? I have one, but I'll let you guys go. You have any, Sam?
I mean the co-main or this Arlovsky. I always like watching him fight. I mean, he's a heavyweight legend.
Arlovsky's, man, that's gonna, if he can win again, you just got to give him a top 10 guy at this point. Yeah. Mine is Grant Dawson, Jared Gordon. I think it's gonna be fight of the night. Yep, that's how I feel too. Who do you have winning though? I have Grant Dawson winning the fight. I love Jared Gordon, man. I always bet Jared Gordon, but Grant Dawson, man, he's an animal. The line isn't really that bad either. I mean, Dawson minus 180. Okay. Jared Gordon's plus 155. I'm probably gonna put my money on Jared. I love Jared. Jake loves Jared Gordon. He always puts his money on him. I mean, I'm not gonna ever say a bad thing about that, man. Yeah. If you guys know anyone that's like ever been like struggling with like drug addiction or know someone that you guys might want to seek help, just have them follow Jared Gordon's story. It's crazy. I'll never say a bad thing about that man. Sam, any other fight that you want to mention?
Not really. Just the main event.
Let's get to the main event. How long overdue is it that Chito Vera gets a main event on a fight night card? Let's start there. It's long overdue, dude. Honestly, after the O'Malley fight, in Chito Vera, he has the style, bro. He has the charisma. He could be a star in the UFC if he wins and gets into a title contention. He could be a star because he talks shit right back to Sean now. Sean will say stuff. He will talk right back to him. And down the road, we're going to get that fight again. And his his knockout over Frankie, which my favorite fighter of all time will always be, other than the notorious one, is Frankie Edgar. I love Frankie, but seeing that knockout was like, okay, he's the real fucking deal. He's knocked out O'Malley, he's knocked out, Edgar. He's beaten everyone in front of him since then. This is gonna be a fun fight. And Rob Font's no fucking joke, by the way.
That knockout's probably one of my favorites that I've ever seen in person.
Yeah, you saw what Rob Font did to Cody Garbrandt. So
That's true.
If he can beat Rob Font, Marlon Vera is setting up. He's knocking on the door at the number one contender spot.
Are we all saying? Well, actually, Sam, who do you have in this fight?
I have Vera.
Okay, so are we all saying Cheeto Vera?
Yeah, Font did not. I don't think Font looked good against Aldo in his last fight.
But there was also Jose Aldo.
It's also Jose Aldo going up a weight class, or was he going down? Was he going down a weight class?
For a while, it's like 4 fights now, 5 fights.
Yeah,
I think this is a fight. As a fan, I'm like, Cheeto's got to win this, but I also am going to be a realist too. I'm going to pull myself back a little bit, and I want the storyline. I want the Cheeto Vera win. I want the Cheeto Vera. I think Rob Font slows all of it down, makes it a boxing match, keeps him at range, pieces him with his jab, and the East Coast Slugger wins. Rob Font by decision, my opinion.
I think Font needs this win more than Cheeto does. That's where I stand. I think Cheeto has everything going for him right now. A loss wouldn't be great, obviously, never is, but I don't think it derails him. If Font loses this one, I think we're talking about a real deep downfall. We might be talking about like a Sean O'Malley type fight next for him. Like right around that edge of the top 10.
Top 15. O'Malley's not even top 15 yet.
Yeah, he is.
What is he ranked?
I believe he's 12 or 13th.
How did he get 12 or 13 by not beating a single guy in the top 15?
Doesn't matter. He's not unranked though.
Okay.
He doesn't have that new contract yet.
Here's my thing. Are we doing cash or dash today, boy?
We are. Do you want to hold it for that then?
Yeah, I'll hold it.
Okay. I feel like then that's a good place to stop before we get too involved in it. Let's talk about the Ultimate Fighter real quick. Because there's not really much that we can say because we don't know much. Other than premiering next week, Wednesday, 7 days away. It'll be 6 days away by the time you listen to this. Team Pena versus Team Nunez. It's the start of the rematch between those two, which will be for the women's bantamweight championship eventually down the road. So it is women's flyweights, I believe, and heavyweight. Men's heavyweights.
Jesus.
What is one thing you're excited for and one thing you're not excited for during this season?
You go first, Sam.
I mean, they are both great fighters, but I don't know how you're gonna have them explain to men's heavyweights like how their fight, like what type of fighting style they should like change to. And then like seeing the men's reaction to that too. I mean, obviously they're gonna respect them, but
look, Jake, instead of saying what one thing I'm excited for, one thing I'm not excited for, I'll just double up on both things I'm not excited for. And it's Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunez don't know how to trash talk at all. They're very boring. No charisma. They're not going to be able to teach fucking male heavyweight how to win a fight because they'd get knocked out in probably 30 seconds against any of those dudes. I just don't think there's going to be any like buzz around it. Like, I'm not trying to there's a little bit of broken English in there. I just think it's not going to be as, televised as much. People aren't going to watch it as much. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say anything else because Spotify likes to take our shit off Spotify, but that's it, man. I'm not
okay. Something I'm going to be excited for is the fact that I'm trying to be like as glass half empty as I can be. The show has always been great. As long as the two coaches actually trash talk each other, or at least attempt to, I'll be excited to see what happens. The last thing I want, though, is for Juliana Pena to start talking about Kayla Harrison, which I don't think she will be just because it's ESPN and UFC's not going to air it if she does. But I want this to be focused on Nunes versus Pena, and then like for the trash talk. And I also am obviously excited to watch these competitors and see what's going on. What I'm not excited for is the fact that it is Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes, when we knew that the options at one point were Colby versus Masvidal, which that has become a bigger story outside of the octagon than it was inside. Supposedly, we still don't know who either person was that punched someone outside of a steakhouse in Miami. I just feel like there's a lot better options, and it's gonna be hard because of Nunes's English. Maybe they'll bring in some cool people. I believe Michael Chiesa and Bilal Muhammad are good friends with Pena, so I mean that could be kind of cool. Obviously, Nunes, she kind of burned everything down with American Top Team, so I'm not sure who she has in her corner anymore. That's part of the issue. So we'll see. I don't know.
I think I'm so fucking excited for Nunes versus Pena, the
Yes.
rematch.
Yes.
I'm so ecstatic about that. Don't get me wrong. Amanda Nunes is a freaking, in my opinion, the greatest women's fighter ever.
Mhm.
You know, I love Amanda Nunes. I love Johanna Pena. One of the best upsets I've ever seen in my life. I'm excited for those two to go in the octagon and fight again. And I'm excited for Nunes to knock her out and get her belt back. Now, when it comes to a reality TV show that lasts a couple months, I'm not excited for those two to be coaches against each other because I don't think it brings any other cinematic value. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there's positives with this other than the fights happening, which you could have just scheduled the fight at a good buildup. Now you're going to almost ruin the buildup to the fight by realizing how boring this might be. That's what I think, okay? I think you should have just chose two different coaches, and that's that. But I'm excited for the fight between those two.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see heavyweights. Heavyweights, man, I haven't been in there a while. And those two, there's knockouts in the Ultimate Fighter all the time for heavyweights. So
Was the last heavyweight season Kimbo Slice?
it might have been, yeah.
Back in 2009?
Yeah.
It's been a long time. So we'll see. I mean, we've been surprised before, not kind of, but not really. I mean, one of the best seasons I think in my mind was when it was supposed to be Kat Zingano versus Ronda. Kat gets hurt, and then we have Miesha Tate step in.
Yeah.
That was an awesome season. Any season featuring Conor was awesome.
My favorite was always going to be Cody TJ, man.
That was the next one on my list.
They're putting fists in each other's face. They're hitting each other. Like, that was fun, man.
Conor versus Uriah Faber, though, was pretty good, too.
The punchlines in that one were
And Whitaker versus Gastelum was cool. So, I mean, it's not like the show has a history of not being good.
No, when you have two females, it's better to have the charisma with them, like Ronda Rousey was. She brought that. And, like, I don't think Juliana and Amanda bring that, but they're amazing fighters. Do you know what I'm saying? But
They better hope that Juliana looks good and get some casual fans to watch the show this season. It's kind of where I'm at.
I'd go with Juliana. I'd let her submit me.
Yeah, exactly.
Let her submit you?
Well, I mean, I would fight back a little bit.
No, I would let her just suffocate me.
That's fair. I'm not going to tap, though.
No, I'm not going to tap. I want to pass out.
Yeah, that'd be better. Let's go to Cash or Dash. It sounds like, Hunter, you have a big one. Let's just start it off with you.
Will Sean O'Malley have a fight by the end of 2022 in the top 10 of the division? Cash or Dash?
Cash.
Cashing it. Why are you cashing it?
I think it's going to happen his next fight.
Who do you think then? Have you seen the 135 pound division?
Let me tell you right now.
Tell me a realistic fight. Tell me a realistic fight Sean O'Malley wins in the top 10.
Is his contract up before 2022?
He'll get and fight.
I think he'll
he said
resign before his
he
next
said he's
fight.
not taking like top opponents until that new contract because he's not paid enough for it.
Okay, if he doesn't get his next fight against him, because he won't. I mean, there's a possibility for Pedro, Munoz.
Munoz.
That's top 10.
That could be what's that, 9?
9. I also think there's a possibility for Dominic Cruz at the end of the year. At 7.
He would get wiped the floor with Dom, but
I think he'd possibly fight him.
that's true. So you're cashing it. Are you cashing that, Sam, or are you dashing it?
I'm dashing it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. He's gonna fight Buck.
All right.
Might find like Marlon Moraes.
Marlon retired.
He's still 14th in the rankings.
He is still in the rankings. That is true. He's not gonna fight a guy like Song Yadong. That's too dangerous.
No, I don't think any of those dudes want to fight Song Yadong.
I wouldn't want to fight Yadong either. All right, my cash or dash, and this one's kind of more funny than anything else. But by the end of Michael Chandler's career, he will have more adopted children than UFC victories. He just adopted a second child.
No, he's gonna like fuck Tony Ferguson up, and he already got 1 win over Dan Hooker.
So
And then
it'll be 2-2.
He's gonna win before the end of the year too. So Michael Chandler, man, is a beast. He should have the belt. He should have beat Oliveira, but he slipped up.
Hey, I'm not saying he's not a beast. I'm also just saying him and his wife really like to adopt kids from overseas.
Maybe he's infertile, dude. He's pretty jacked. He might have been on tests for a while in his life, you know.
Don't know. Sam,
But
cashing or dashing?
I'm gonna dash it because
you would run away from that idea that he would have more.
I don't
kids
think he's
than
had more kids than wins.
Dash it. I mean, it
Truthfully, I'm
depends on how long
dashing
his
too.
UFC career is, but if he's fighting at least 2 or 3 times a year, he has to win at least one or two of them. What are they going to adopt a kid every other month, like every 6 months?
I don't know. They might. Michael Chandler's got that big boy money now. They might just adopt a bunch of kids and make their own school. He lives in Nashville. It's a good place to be. Sam, do you have a cash or dash for us?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
There you go, Sam. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I had one more, but I can't think of it off. I can't remember what it was. Pretty sure it had something to do with Jon Jones or Conor McGregor, but I'll forget about it. Oh, actually, that was what it was. It includes both of them. Cash on or dash that the UFC International Fight Week will feature either Conor McGregor or Jon Jones.
Cash. Connor's fighting in July.
You think so?
I know he's fighting in July. I just know it. He's
Who?
July.
Like, who does it make sense for him to fight?
We'll find out. Connor's fighting. I think the Diaz trilogy is what's gonna happen. Everyone's talking right now.
Diaz did say, "Stop bringing me this trilogy with Conor shit." So that usually means that Dana's offering it.
It's gonna be Nate and Conor, and honestly, that will be a fun trilogy. But I don't think Conor should do it. I think Conor should wait for Gaethje Oliveira. If Gaethje wins, I think he should fight Gaethje. If Oliveira wins, I think Conor should fucking. I don't know what Conor should do, man. I don't know how his shape he is. I don't know how his leg is. I'm scared. I don't want to see Conor lose again. So
I think he should take that fight. I think that's the perfect warm-up fight.
yeah, he could beat Nate on any day of the week.
And that's
Honestly,
a pay-per-view seller.
it is. Yeah.
Another trilogy for the man. Then when he wins that fight, like I don't think there's a question about that one. He's gonna beat Nate Diaz.
Is that going to be at 155 or 170?
Probably
It should be-
170.
It'll be at 170, but it should be at 55 because Nate needs to fight Conor at Conor's weight because Conor keeps fighting Nate at his weight.
Or they fight at 165 at a catch weight, open it up.
For the 165 belt.
That'd be so disrespectful. But no, I'm just saying they do it. Then they like say this worked out so well.
You know
we're
what
opening the 165 division.
This is why I love Bellator. Have a Grand Prix. Have a 165 Grand Prix. You open up with Conor and Nate. You have Dustin and Kobe in there. You have all those guys. You have Gilbert.
Essentially, you set it up so the 1 and 2 seeds in some sort of order are Colby versus Poirier.
You have some order, which makes it so that Conor and like
Poirier
Kobe
can meet.
type thing.
You have
But
that semifinal somehow be Poirier versus Colby for a real third fight. You have
Yeah. You have
You mean
Connor
Connor,
RJ.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
because the final would be Colby versus Poirier because they're 1-1.
Everyone wants to talk about how Colby doesn't fight anyone. Maybe you have RDA versus Gilbert Burns in round 1, and then when Colby has to fight one of the two of them, you can't say he's never fought anyone.
And you
let Colby beat up on Bilal Muhammad in the first round because that's deserved.
and then keep all the strikers on Connor's side so he can get it himself.
Yeah, exactly. Just so like, well, I mean, if it's only 3 fights to get the belt,
It'd be an 8-man bracket. Be 8-man bracket. So you have to win 2 to get to the finals.
yeah. So
I did this like 2 months ago.
so for him, his path would probably be at some way Diaz, Poirier, Colby.
Yeah. You have to beat Nate. You have to find a way to beat Dustin, and then you have to fight like a Kobe or a wrestler on the in the finals.
And then he loses, and maybe that's when he calls it a career.
Or he does what he did to Mendez and gets up and knocks his ass out.
That's true.
Colby?
I don't think so, though.
I 100% think so, but
I think that fight gets the ground and it's over real quick.
no, I don't think so. Kobe doesn't submit anybody, but that's a different story.
I don't think he would want to. I think he'd just do it. But yeah, no, that's a whole different story. We're not going to get to a Grand Prix. We might not even get a 165 division. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
But if Dana hears this, he's gonna think about it.
If Dana came to me, there'd be a lot of changes for the better, I think.
Yeah, Dana, offer me $60K a year and I'll do your security work too.
Yeah, exactly. Just do not go to Jake Paul for advice. His advice sucks. Oh, that's the other thing. Are we getting a Jake Paul versus Michael Bisping fight?
I saw Jake Paul, Mike Tyson.
That's not happening.
For 80 mil.
I think what Jake Paul should do is fight Anderson Silva in a
Well, that's
real.
what everyone wants, but
He's not. Bisping, who's been on the couch with one eye. It's so fucked up.
I did
He
see
only
a
fights
funny
guys
joke.
he knows he can beat.
I did
or
see a
pay
funny
off.
joke that he was like, none of these guys want to fight me. They're all pussies nowadays. And and some dude put like, I think it's the problem is that you're calling out people that don't know how to use the internet. Have you tried faxing it to them?
Yeah, dude, it's
I
bad.
mean, like, come on. You can't be calling out Michael Bisping, who's been out of the UFC for how long
And has
Yeah.
one eye.
and has one eye.
You know what I think we should see is I think Mike Perry needs to get his hands on Jake Paul.
Yeah.
UFC. Yeah, he puts those back on and just go crazy. Mike Perry will just throw.
I think they should just give him Gilbert Burns. Close
I
in
don't-
weight class.
I feel like Jake could beat Gilbert Burns.
I don't. I don't see that one.
What are you drinking?
What do you think Gilbert Burns can outbox Jake Paul?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
I think he's much tougher too.
You think Tyron Woodley can outbox Gilbert Burns?
Yes.
No.
Tyron
Come on.
can outbox Gilbert Burns. Are you guys kidding me? He has way more knockouts at 170 than Burns ever had. Burns got knocked out against Dan Hooker at 155er.
Yeah,
Jake
but
Paul would fuck him up.
I don't know. How about Paulo Costa?
Yeah, put his drunk ass in against Jake Paul. He'd fuck him up.
Oh, Paulo Costa. That's the last thing we got to
That's-
mention.
Weight class. There we go. Costa fucking Paul.
No, so that's the last thing we have to mention. Vittori versus Whitaker is off. Whitaker got injured, and the only person that has raised their hand to step in is fat ass Paulo Costa, which I know would be the funniest story in the UFC of 2022 when no one knows what he weighs, and Vittori has to do this all over again.
No, dude, you can't do that to Vittori because Costa never made weight.
When I
he's
saw
tied
that
for
the
fourth.
only person that was like, I'll fight that pussy was
He's like,
Paulo Costa, I was like, no.
I was like, dude, what do you weigh right now?
Like 240.
Oh my god.
Drinking as much wine as he can, tweeting about politics in the US.
He said at night, so you know he's drunk.
Oh, he only tweets at night.
He only tweets at night. Connor does too sometimes. I tweet at 11 p.m. like I'm ready to fight everybody. And it's like, no shit.
Or
Eating
he'll
ice
post a
cream.
video of him eating ice cream, just laughing at himself. All right, Paulo Costa, if you're listening to this, I actually kind of hope it happens because I think it would be just so funny because I would know what's going on this time. Or I hope you fight Jake Paul because then we have a real fight.
Till 85, that'd be fun.
What?
Costa versus Till at 85.
Till?
Yeah. Imagine Till Costa 85. That'd be fun.
Imagine trash talk.
Be 195.
They could do a catch weight.
It would have to be a catch weight. Are you kidding me?
Costa. Oh,
Costa's gonna weigh past the light heavyweight limit.
that's true.
He'll
Yeah.
walk in at 210 and they'll be like, what?
Oh, yeah. They told Costa he can't fight 85 anymore.
No, I think that they just wanted to tell him that. He said, no, I'm good. It was my wrist injury or whatever he said.
Like-
His wrist injury prevented him from losing like 35 pounds.
He could barely make 205.
I
He
know.
couldn't wait. He couldn't work out.
He couldn't
be
work
like-
out. He couldn't lift.
Oh, my
He couldn't
God.
go for runs with his wrist. Too much
Yeah.
action.
No running. Only the bike for like old grandmas that need to have it like taped to the floor. There's not even gears. They just go.
Oh, man.
All right, that's our episode, guys. If you guys are listening, please like, subscribe, share, do whatever you gotta do. Shout out to our friends over at the Swap online digital media company that goes after crypto, NFTs. They'll make you some money. Link in the bio. Go click, join their Discord. It's free. Get yourself some free money. All right, boys. Fun as always. I'll see you guys next week.
Yep. See ya.